Was it hard to sell to your board? Were you concerned because you were a public company? And then did you expect more CEOs to follow? I know you talked Elon into it, and we can get into that, but were those other two issues, and did you have some trepidation when you went in?
You know, we had a lot of trepidation. I mean, there was a lot of trepidation in the year 2020 for a lot of people, right? In every single business, across every dimension and every aspect of life. And we're still working through those issues today. We will be for probably, a number of years to come. The process was first me educating myself. So I went through those Andreas Antonopoulos videos. I read The Internet of Money. Then I read the Bitcoin Standard. Then I started, binge watching every other Bitcoin podcast, cryptocurrency analysis, starting, reading the bullish case for Bitcoin, reading, every essay I could find on the internet. You can learn a lot on the internet. You can learn a lot on YouTube. I figured out pretty quickly I could speed everything up to 150% and speed listen while I'm, so you're speed listening while you're eating dinner and you're absorbing a lot. Once you do that, you realize that you don't want to go back to like taking a 1 or 2 hour lecture a week over the course of the semester. Just like people binge watch Netflix, television series in a weekend. You start binge watching 30 hours of podcast at 150% speed with a little bit of skipping, and you find that in 10 hours, you can cover a semester of content. So I did a lot of that. Once I got myself comfortable, then I put together a summary of materials, like 4 hours of videos and 10 documents or something like that I sent to all the officers and directors of my company. Then I started meeting with them individually. Then we started having group meetings. We got educated. Then we split up, and then the general counsel went off to do the legal review with our outside counsel and to retain other counsel. The CFO went off to do the accounting and the finance review with outside auditors and finance experts, and the board did their research. And then we came to a very elaborate process, Brian. We couldn't just buy 500 million of Bitcoin and put out a press release. We're a publicly traded company. So the first thing we do is we have a deliberation, and the conclusion is we're going to actually buy $250 million worth of something, and we're going to buy back $250 million worth of our stock. So the first press release and the first announcement is we've decided that we're going to invest $250 million of our capital in a treasury asset or a mixture of treasury assets. This may include stocks, bonds, real estate, gold, silver, Bitcoin, or cryptocurrencies, something like that. We let the market think about that. We also said we're going to buy back $250 million worth of our own stock over the next 12 months. We announced a share buyback program. Stock is $120 a share. $60 a share. And that, put that in perspective, it's a $500 million company with $600 million in value to the enterprise and $600 million in value to the cash. About 1.2 times revenue. At that point, we had concluded, we were going to generate a lot of cash flow, $70 to $90 million in cash flow a year. I mean, the digital transformation of the operation meant we weren't going to need capital to grow the business. We were going to generate a lot of capital because the things that were expensive, like throwing trade shows and flying around on airplanes and staying in hotels and spending money on all this advertising, that just all went away. So we knew we were going to generate cash. We knew we didn't need the cash. We announced this generally to the public. Crickets. Stock trades 20,000 shares a day. Nobody really notices. They don't care. 1 week later, we went to stage 2, where we said, okay, well, we've gone through our analysis. We've decided to buy $250 million worth of Bitcoin. We did it. Here's the announcement. And we're also announcing a Dutch tender offer. We're going to buy back $250 million worth of our stock in 20 days, and you can tender your shares for up to $140 a share. So in essence, the message is, if you don't like the Bitcoin strategy, this is your chance to get off the roller coaster, and you can get off with profit. You can sell your shares back to us at $140 a share. Stock's trading 121, 122 when we announce that. You've got 20 days to think about it. So the idea is, don't surprise anybody. I don't want to tell you, figure out what Bitcoin is, and you've got 5 minutes, right? That creates anxiety. You can't figure out in 5 minutes. The company has embarked on a novel new balance sheet strategy, and we're going to give you 20 days to figure out whether you're going to buy more, sell, or hold your current position. And should you decide you want out, the company's going to backstop you. We're going to buy the first $250 million worth of stock at a premium. So the market trades. First it trades into the 130s, then they think about it a bit, then it trades up past 140 and maybe past 150. Okay, so you've got kind of a put, you can put the stock back to the company at 140. You would think it would trade at least to 140. For 20 days, the shareholder base rotates. We want them to rotate. If you hate it, we want you to sell. If you love it, we want you to buy. At the end of the tender period, we don't know what's going to happen. We could have had $250 million tendered. We could have had none tendered. We had about $60 million worth of shares tendered. Okay, so we buy back $60 million worth of shares at $140 a share. Then we have $175 million of extra cash. We think about it. We have a board meeting. We adopt Bitcoin as our treasury reserve strategy, or our treasury reserve asset. So the next message to the market is, MicroStrategy is adopting Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset. If we have excess capital from time to time, we're going to convert it into Bitcoin. Let the market think about that. Shortly thereafter, we bought $175 million worth of more Bitcoin. Now we bought $425 million worth of Bitcoin. Well, the people that are shareholder bases, you either are you long Bitcoin, or are you short Bitcoin, or are you neutral to Bitcoin? We don't have to convince everybody. We just have to be transparent with a group of people that happen to like Bitcoin. So, and maybe you could say, I just got to convince anybody, right? It's like, I'm not trying to convince 100% of the people that they should love Bitcoin. I'm just trying to find the 1% that like Bitcoin and then act with transparency and integrity and offer them a publicly traded company where they can invest in such a strategy. So at that point, we had $425 million worth of Bitcoin. We started to communicate why we did it. We thought it's digital gold. It's smarter, faster, stronger than traditional gold. And it offers a monetary inflation hedge. The world starts to digest that. Our stock trades up. Bitcoin trades up. At some point, our stock trades up to 200. Then it trades up to 250. Then people discover maybe this is a good idea to own Bitcoin. We buy the Bitcoin at the first thing we bought, it was like 11,800. People are like, you're crazy. You're taking all this risk. It traded down to 10,000. We bought some more. They thought you're double crazy. We took the risk. I'm like, I don't think I'm crazy. I think I'm, well, what are you going to do if it trades up or down? And the answer is, I'm not a speculator. I'm not a trader. I don't care whether it trades up or down. I'm holding it they're like, well, how am I going to hold it? Well, forever. I'm holding it forever. It's property. I mean, a decade you want a time frame, a decade, we can mark it. I mean, short time frame is 4 years to figure out whether it worked out in the short time frame. Mid time frame is a decade. Reasonable time frame is 100 years. That's why we bought it. People thought that was kind of crazy. Like, are you speculating? No, I'm not speculating. Okay, it takes a while. People don't, they don't quite figure it out. At some point, our stock traded up. Well, all of a sudden our stock trades up to a 10-year high. We keep making money. Our employees like exercise some stock options. We make more money. We have more cash. We go buy $50 million worth more Bitcoin. I think we buy another 75 million worth of Bitcoin. Now we bought 500 million worth of Bitcoin. Bitcoin doubles. We've made $500 million. The stock has doubled. At that point, the stock gets to $300 a share. It's more than it's best in a decade. We go to the market and we offer to sell $400 million of a convert bond. The market loves the idea of a convert bond. Okay, here's the idea. We're going to basically raise $400 million. We're going to buy Bitcoin with it. If Bitcoin goes down, you still got the bond. If Bitcoin goes up, you've got the upside of Bitcoin. Where else can I buy a Bitcoin bond that makes me money if Bitcoin goes up and doesn't lose me money if Bitcoin goes down? I've got a software company standing behind it. Okay, people wanted to buy that bond. We were like quadruple oversubscribed, so we raised the bond from 400 million to 650 million. We paid 75 basis points in interest. We borrowed $650 million at less than 1% interest. We bought Bitcoin. We bought the Bitcoin around 20,000. Bitcoin kept going up. That bond was the best performing bond in the year in the US. No one had a better bond. Okay, at this point, people are starting to think that MicroStrategy likes Bitcoin. Bitcoin keeps going up. MicroStrategy stock goes to 1,000. When it gets to 1,000, we go back to the market to offer a $600 million bond between 0 and 50 basis points yield, like 40 to 37 to 50% premium. The bond's oversubscribed. We make that bond a $1,050 million bond. We sell it at a 50% premium that yields 0. So we raised $1,050 million in one day at a 0% interest rate to buy Bitcoin with a strike price of $1,432 a share. Brian, remember when I started the journey, my stock was $120 a share. Our stock went up and we sold $1 billion of in essence, equity at 10x that. Now there's a bond related to it. So we were providing downside protection. We bought Bitcoin with it. So now we've got another capital transaction. At this point, people get the idea that we like Bitcoin. People and
is this the craziest is this the craziest year of your life? Easily?
Yeah, I think so. It's going to get better. Because our strategy was we're an enterprise software company, and people said, well, are you a hedge fund or an enterprise software company? And I said, well, let me clarify it. We have two strategies now. Our first strategy is grow the enterprise software business. Our second strategy is acquire and hold Bitcoin. Okay, that's our strategy. We put it in our 10K. We publish it in February. So people just read it. Acquire and hold Bitcoin. What do you mean? Well, what I mean is when Howard Hughes went to Vegas, he looked at Vegas and he said, I think one day there'll be a great city in the desert that supports tourism, conventions, and gambling. So he bought all the land in the desert. Well, what was his plan? Just to buy the property. Well, how long? To hold it forever. People are still building houses on land that Howard Hughes bought, and he's been dead for 50 years. Summerlin is a Howard Hughes project. They're building entire cities on land that Howard Hughes bought. It's just a property development strategy. If you could buy all the land in Manhattan 300 years ago, in what day or what year would it have been wise to sell the land in Manhattan? Just hold it. Buy it, hold it. So that's what we did. We adopted it as a strategy, and eventually we got to May and June. And in June, we went back to the market. We got a credit rating from Moody's and S&P, and we issued a senior secured debt offering, and we raised $500 million at 6 1/8% interest. It wasn't a convert. There's no equity. It's just straight debt, corporate debt, to buy Bitcoin. And why did people buy that bond? Because they're getting a very fat coupon. They're getting 6 1/8% interest, and the junk bond index is 3.9% interest. And Apple Computer would be paying them 1.5% interest, and the Federal Reserve would be paying them 1.2% interest. And so they're actually getting yield. And we took the money, we put it into Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's part of the collateral. So now we have a Bitcoin collateralized senior secured note. And why did that work for the company? Well, because it's increasing the upside for our equity holders and the convert holders. Now they've got more Bitcoin. If you're long Bitcoin and Bitcoin doubles, well, we bought 13,000 Bitcoin and they're going to double. And then you're going to get the equity upside. The debt holders are going to keep getting their coupon.